Good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to all our videos out there. This is On Point, on Focus on Liberia, and this is going to be a nice evening. I have with me today my friend and brother Alex Jones, and we're going to be looking into some very interesting issues today. Like all of you know, this show is an opinion show. Here we express our opinions on issues. Is not binding, and we don't hope to make enemies, but we speak the truth because Liberia is our common denominator, and we want to be able to address issues Liberia and speak, and then be able to prefer ways forward. It's very important that when you criticize, you also offer alternatives or suggestions that people can use to make some advancements in our society. So today is on point. We're going to be discussing the issue that is prevalent not prevalent, the issue that is trending in Liberia, the issue of the stampede and the zogo menace, the issue of insecurity in Liberia and what the government's role is. And there have been a lot of people speaking. The vice president, the former vice president of the Republic of Liberia, Ambassador Joseph Boakai, have called for a national dialogue on trying to find a way to deal with the increasing number of Zogos. There's a judge called George Wisse who have said that the Liberian government has neglected its primary duty of being the law enforcement agent in Liberia. So we'll be looking at all those issues. Alex, I want to say welcome, and I also want to tell our viewers out there, join us and share the video. Okay, click like and share the video. It's going to be nice. We'll look into some politics a little bit before we go. Also, the ongoing court case against Mr. Ellis Cummings for a fraudulent act of forging signatures. That's the allegation against him. We're going to look into that. But first, we want to deal with what is paramount in the society today, the most trending issue, and that is the issue of the stampede, the Zogo attacks. I just saw a Facebook post where someone said that a man was killed last night by Zogos. And this is a problem. It's a national security issue in Liberia. So we're going to be looking into these issues. Like I said, I have with me my brother, Alex Jones. Alex, welcome.
Thank you, Josh, and it's quite an honor to be here. This is my debut on the point. It's one of my favorite. My favorite political show on social media. I watch it religiously almost every weekend, and I was glad that you asked me to join and share my 2 cents.
Thank you.
What I like about it is because it's very diverse. You have sympathizers of different parties coming on to discuss the issue, unlike many other shows where is more of a propaganda and only certain people are invited and you have to be part of the party and part of the subscribe to the ideology and things like that. That is not education. That is not how to move the country forward. We should be able to discuss diverse views about our nation. So I'm very glad to be here, and thank you again for this honor.
Yes, Alex, you're welcome. It's an honor to have you, and I appreciate the fact that you've been following us. And props up to you for that. It's an honor to have a colleague, a young professional, interested in our country. All of us are not can be back home, but
Mhm.
all of us can keep the fire going, the interest in our
Mhm.
country going. All of us can keep talking about it. I was telling a friend of mine the last time. I say, "Hey, bro, we don't people." I said, "You can't burn bridges because of politics, right?
Mhm.
Because everyone is entitled to their view. Everyone's entitled to whoever they want to support, and I respect your right to support
Mhm.
whoever you want to support." But I have come to a place where I've been on Facebook, going on to what 12, 13 years. I'm talking about discussing in depth politics,
Mhm.
and we went against the Manasseri crowd,
Mhm.
13, 12 years, and I'm still friends with some of these guys.
Mhm.
Okay, and some of them they do see you and turn their heads because they feel that you're against them, maybe their chopping place or whatever. But
Mhm.
some of them respect the fact that people are there to hold the government to fire, feet to the fire. Not everyone wants to sell their opinion or their conscience for whatever little that is there. Because at the end of the day, the most important thing that matters in this thing is Liberia,
Mhm.
and we all need to position ourselves where we can contribute. And sometimes when someone is in power, somebody has to support that person, which I agree, and everyone has the right to support whoever they want to support. But one thing I always see at the end of the day is that Liberia remains. All right, we've seen past governments come to relevance and then they end up being uh, nothing, just a byword. But I
Mhm.
also have seen people come and people yearn for such a person. Oh, why did the person leave? I got someone that I always yearn for. He died, I don't know how many years ago, 42 years ago. But I've always said that almost 42 years ago, but I've always said that that man was the best to ever run our country. And
Mhm.
I love the strides he made. He was a visionary, he was a progressive, he believed in the people. He came from an era where things have been done a particular way for 100 years. You don't just wake up and change such trend of things. But anyways, today we want to say welcome to all our viewers out there. We're going to be going into the issue of the stampede at the stadium. Alex, you have been around, you've been hearing everything. What is your view on the prophet or apostle Kurma crusade? A lot of people are saying he should be arrested. A lot of people are saying that he's to blame for what happened at the place. But what is your honest view of this?
I'm glad that you added a prefix honest view. As you know, I'm a deist, so I'm not do not subscribe to the Christian or any particular religion. Uh, if anything, I would say I subscribe to science and mathematics and engineering because those are the only things that have lifted mankind. Those are the only things that will have proven to cure a sick child in the hospital or provide farming tools and cultivation to feed millions of people starving. So until otherwise, so to ask me to defend, a prophet or religious figures is one of those things where I would have to be very objective. While I do not agree with their philosophy, I do defend the prophet that nobody should touch him. He has a right in Liberia to preach. He's protected under the Constitution. He did not cause the stampede. If people want to go to crusade or mosque, they have a right to do that. They have a right to follow whoever they want to follow. So I take exception to those who are publicly ridiculing someone for what the government and political leaders have failed to do to provide people a vessel of hope. If people had jobs and people had hopes, they wouldn't be there in those droves.
Hmm.
They wouldn't um, lend themselves to such, exploitation. But we have to be fair across the board and we have to let the rule of law. We can't call ourselves one day a country founded on a Christian principle, and then when people go to crusade and an unfortunate event occur, then all of a sudden now we find that's cowardliness. We have to stand up for what is right. The men did not cause it, and therefore, it's unfair. People go to rock concert and get killed
And get shot.
and get shot. So,
Hmm.
are you gonna ban, the YouTube ban for because some people got shot in people in Las Vegas? People go to school and tragedy will occur because of the lack of security or laws in the nations that support guns and violence and things like that. So in this case, it's a failure on the part of the government. It's a failure on the part of our political leaders for not working to provide opportunities for Zokos. And
Yeah,
more of
but
these
you
things,
see, Alex, let me, this is not an interview. Those joining us, we want to welcome you. This is not an interview. I didn't bring Alex here to interview him. Contrary to it, Alex and I have differing views on some of these
yeah.
issues. Why? I'm a man that have come from the church. All right, I've been a
Okay.
pastor. I've served in churches. I've been a youth pastor. I've done a lot, all right, with in terms of ministry. I've gone in the mission field and everything. So I've gone to seminary, completed Bible college, completed, and I'm just saying that Liberia, I said it on a post to a friend of mine that we fail the people.
Mm-hmm.
And if you ask somebody, will say, how will you say you fail the people? Because the church is not only there to, congregate, convene on Sundays or on other days,
Mm-hmm.
so that people can bring their offerings for, ecclesiastical activities to be funded. That's not just what the church is about. One of the cardinal things that I have always said that the church is about or should be about is adding value to the lives of the people who are coming. Pastors should be equipped enough, they should be equipped enough to add value to their people. Add value in how? How you somebody would say how? Make sure that people are acquiring skills. You should be almost like a quarterback, moving pieces, or maybe let's just say a chess player moving pieces
Mm-hmm.
on the chessboard, using your influence to make sure your people get education, that they acquire life skills that are marketable, or let's just say marketable life skills. Using your influence to make sure that your people get jobs, that businesses, that they have businesses doing, giving them the wisdom and the understanding and the knowledge on how to go out there and succeed in life. That for me is what the church should be about in this 21st century. Unfortunately, for many people, is a grift. That's just the truth. For
Mm-hmm.
many of these young guys coming into ministry, it's all about grift. Okay, it's all about how I can position myself, gather people around, influence their lives, psychologize them, and do everything I can do so that they can call me Papa, so that they can go and look for money and bring it so that I can live lavish lifestyles. So, in certain situations, it's a grift. In certain situations, we have churches that have been around for a very long time that have lost significance in the sense that they're just existing. Okay, they are just a gathering place now. There's no innovation coming forward. They're not moving the people. It's like the people have to go and fend for themselves and come and give, instead of the church empowering the people so that they can come and give. So let's go to the specific issue. You have this young man who comes, I don't know him. I've tried to inquire about him not before the situation, because my sister-in-law started going to the church and her husband wasn't happy.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, I don't want you going there. And so I tried to inquire who he was, his point of reference, who trained him, where he came from. And I couldn't gather anything substantial. And then all of a sudden, but we see him burst on the scene. He's performing so-called miracles. I've not seen anything tangible or actual that said somebody, maybe this person was actually crippled and the person came. What I see in Liberia, I'll be honest with you, uh, as a minister of the gospel, I've seen that people they new there's a new crew of ministers in Liberia who are just taking, they are BMs. If you ask me, I know a lot of people will get angry with me here, but well, the truth is the truth. A lot of these guys, they are BMs. They are just there to take advantage of God's people. And the churches that are well grounded, that got good ministers, they have neglected to play their roles. So as
Mm-hmm.
a result, the people, and again, you said it, the poverty. We'll come to the Zogo issue, but poverty in the country, despondency, hopelessness, make people to want to get to God. And one of the things that I have realized about people is that uh, they want to be able to touch what they consider spiritual. They want to be able
Mm-hmm.
to have contact with it.
Mm-hmm.
So when people are not preaching a message that they say the Lord said to me, and I'm speaking on behalf of God now, many times they don't have any interest in you because you're not as spiritual as you be. So somebody sitting in the background sees all of that going on and say, "But I can say what they want to hear." Because if you see people like Af Lukau, there's another guy in DRC Congo who sells a mixture of gasoline and lemon
Mm-hmm.
into juice and sells it to people very expensively. So it's very expensive. So they buy it to drink it as a cure or a spiritual. And this guy filled the stadium in Kinshasa. Every time he goes there, people run behind his car and whatever. Okay, people stand online for hours just for him to touch them, say he's praying for them. Is God in it? I'm not God. I can't judge it, but I know one thing, that God is not in that gasoline and lemon mixture that he's selling. But if we come to Liberia, like the guy that is there right now, the particular issue in Liberia, this guy has the right, whether he is false or not, we don't have any paper to prove that he's false. He has the right to congregate and do his crusades, whatever. But it's also his responsibility to make sure that when he's having his crusade, those who come and attend his crusades, that their safety is paramount. That gate needs to be manned. He needs to make sure that you have maybe 50 to 100 young men manning the entire perimeter of the venue to make sure that people can enter and exit in safety. Is his responsibility. Will he be, should he be arrested that he didn't do it? We don't know. They could have been doing it. And you get 50 or 20, 30 armed men with cutlasses appear on the scene. What do you think they will do? Which one of the young men you think will want to use their bare hands to oppose a mob of Zogos? So I don't know all of that, but I'm very sure that they have people outside because nobody plans a crusade. Everyone goes inside. There will be people on the perimeter manning the gates and everything. And if Zogos come and there's the crush of crowd going outside and they get threatened, what they want to do? They want to go back inside. And if the people inside want carry the commotion, want to get out to go home, what you do, you have a press at the gates. So, Alex, this is my view. My view here is I agree with you in that sense. I disagree with you on the on the religious aspect. I'm a product of Christianity. I believe in God. I believe in Christianity. Do I believe in science? I also believe in science. I also believe a lot about science that somebody will say, are you sure?
So do you believe in evolution then?
Oh well, no, they see then you're trying to take it will be a total different, it will be
When you say you believe in science,
I believe in science.
if you
I
believe
do
in
believe in
science, then you gotta
science.
believe in
I
evolution.
no. You don't. It's not everything about science that I believe.
Okay, so you believe in selective science.
Yeah. I believe in certain aspects of science that are logical to me. There
Okay,
are
and then
certain aspects of science that are not logical, so I don't want to go there because all it does is genders,
right. Okay,
strife, and
okay.
more
So
argument and
so
everything.
leave it there.
Those,
Okay.
those questions, Alex, have never been answered, and all it does is people shout and they don't get answered. There are certain things we know in part, we prophesy in part, we understand in part. We will know it. For me, I will know it when he comes. Okay, but let's look at the issue in Liberia, the Zogo issue. We have a national security issue. What is your take on that? Because we're still looking at Apostle Kroma, we're still looking at the nuclear town thing, we're still looking at the deaths. Were they avoidable? Let me ask you this question: you think those deaths were avoidable?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, obviously, if there were measures like you mentioned in terms of security, first of all, anyone who holding such a event with so many number of people, they should have a permit. The city should be able to go in there and make sure that there are exits and security, and that the national police force should be there. Um, and I don't believe any of those things are following Liberia because, of course, you don't have a city on Nukutan. You don't have uh, a body that looks into public issues for the people there, which goes back to say you have a lack of governance in Liberia. One of the things that we've been preaching was you got to have decentralization.
Oh,
Okay.
nuclear towns are borrowed. Let me. The
Okay,
nuclear towns were
so
owned
that
government.
means that borough should have security. They should have a board that provide. They should have sanitation. They should have the idea of having a borough is a local government.
Yeah, it is. It
Okay,
is a
so
local
that
government
means
in court.
so the point I'm saying is on paper it's a borough, right? But do
Hmm.
they get the funding? Can they raise? Can they do they have revenue that they can use for the protect? So
No.
what good it is to say this place is a city or even a county or a borough when they don't have the resources, right, to
The
provide the
reality,
people.
the reality they should have.
But why don't they have it? Again, that's why I said from the beginning, it's a failure of both the political parties and the government. because you when you pass a budget, right, there should be allocation in that budget for borrows to provide security.
Chuchu, do you know that
Mhm,
there is very little
mhm.
that works in Liberia as it is established in the law?
Yeah, I
There
know
is
that, but
very
why?
little,
The question,
statutorily, it's very little that
yeah,
runs as it was intended.
okay, but why? The question is, we know there's a problem. The question is, again, what is mathematics? Yeah, we everybody know 1 plus 1 equals 2, right? So to get two, you gotta add one and one, or you gotta add, certain numbers. The problem in Liberia is we know the problem, but we don't know why that is a problem. So we know that there's a failure of government. We know that every aspect of society is broken. The question now becomes why? Why there can be good governance in Gambia or better government in Gambia, in Burkina Faso, in Botswana. They black people, and they the same as us. Don't they learn the same, 1 plus 1 as we do? So our problem, we have a unique problem in Liberia. And that problem, I believe, is self-interest.
Hmm. It-
That's our only problem. Self-interest is that
it's
we,
one of
we
those things, right? It's one of those things, right?
mm,
But I will also take it further than that.
mhm.
I would say it's more than self-interest. I would say is it's hard to say, but it's just a lack of. It boils down to self-interest at the
It
end of
boils
the
down
day.
to every problem in Liberia. I've studied Liberia academically for almost 15 years. And there is not a problem in Liberia where self-interest is not the issue.
No,
You look at the legal
it plays a
system,
part, right? But the
but
the
it's based
the
when you,
overarching.
yeah,
Mhm, go ahead.
the idea of forming a state, the only idea of forming a state is that you should have collective interests. You agree with me?
Hmm.
The only idea of living within a city or in a borough or a county is that there is collective interest.
Hmm.
When you take our collective interest, right? Just like, yeah, in America, there are people who live off the grid. In Canada, the same thing. They live off the grid. They don't have to deal with any city regulations. They are fine. The government allow it. But if you come in the city, right, you have to abide by the rules of the collective interest of the city. Meaning, if you want to paint your house yellow, and there's an ordinance in our area that says you cannot paint your house yellow, or you cannot build a house more than 10 feet high, you can't do it. So we missed that point in our evolution of our nationalism, that we don't know the difference between self-interest and national interest or collective interest.
Agree. You can. That's why I said okay. It plays a part, but there's also an overarching.
Mhm,
Apart from self-interest,
mhm.
there's an overarching team that runs across all our governance systems,
Okay.
and that overarching team is the fact that we are just morally bankrupt. We are a morally bankrupt nation.
So you think
Not
that
only, not only,
so
not only the
George,
fact that we lack self-interest,
mhm.
but we
I know it's real tough, but
yeah,
I
it's like
disagree with you.
we have no interest in doing the right thing.
No, I don't think we're morally bankrupt. I disagree with you. I think Liberians have good values. Liberians have good morals, better than any other country I've visited or any other people. We're more kind. We can assist in time of needs, our brothers and sisters, more than just about anywhere in the air. So we have good morals.
So why is it when they see people who got good morals,
Mhm.
why is it that when you promote them, just take one of those people from who got quote unquote good morals, they are just once you promote them into national leadership or that one in national, even community leadership.
Right.
Hmm?
And there's a simple answer
Forget
for
about
that.
community leadership. Even husband and wife, you call the
Correct.
wife here on the side and say, I give you 100 for you and your husband, go share it.
Uh-huh.
Do that experiment with 20 couples in Liberia. Give
Okay.
$100 to the man, $100 to another woman. Do it 10-10, right? Say go
Mhm.
share it between you and your husband, for you and your husband. Don't tell
Yeah.
them what percentage. But
And
the
see how
fact
much.
that $100 can be divided into two equal
Mhm.
halves,
Mhm. Yeah. So I agree with you that most people would not share it, and you have a poor judgment on most people's part. But why is that again? I think another problem other than self-interest is that ignorance. Liberian, well, I mean ignorance, not in an insulting way to say people, they don't have senses. We are ignorant of governance. We are ignorant of our duties as citizens. We're ignorant. We're never taught. We're never educated as a people.
okay.
Okay, we were more like you talk. Let's go back to the religious activity in Yucatan. Okay, if you go and have the same crusade in Congo Town, right, or West Point, not West Point, but a Mama Point, where there are more educated people, there are more people there working and making money. See how many people will show up
It will be the same amount.
in what?
Anywhere he goes, people will leave from Bonneville,
Okay,
from red light,
so
anywhere, it will be the
no,
same amount.
correct. So the people that are following him, the people in Yucatan, the people in Banner's Way, the people look at the occupational level. Look at
No,
the
for the
education.
educational attainment,
Yeah,
and their
on
whether they're
average.
professionals and
Yeah,
all of that.
yeah.
But you see, religion, they say is the opinion of the poor, of people, right? I
The,
mean,
the
of
opium of the
yeah,
masses. Yeah,
the masses.
right.
But that masses, in other words, is just substituting for the poor masses.
Correct.
The people that
Correct.
have been victimized by
Poverty.
shady performers using religion or using
Mhm.
Christianity to do whatever they're doing,
Correct.
the
So,
main people they target are
mhm,
those who are the bottom rung of life.
mhm.
They are the ones who are targeted
So
because
that's
people
why I believe
who
in Liberia, where you have the literacy rate, right? The literacy rate is one of the lowest in the
in
world.
the word.
Okay.
Hmm.
And then, of course, the graduation rate is also comparatively one of the lowest in the region, right?
Yeah.
Then even the ones that graduate,
Hmm.
the abilities, is very low. So when you have that kind of statistics of a people, right, they are bound to follow, bad leaders. They
and
are
the,
bound,
and the people who are following, most of them don't have good jobs. Most of them are struggling to make ends meet on a day to day.
correct,
So they want hope. They want somebody
correct,
to come and tell them that it's going to work out for you. They want somebody to come
correct,
and tell them that it will get better. You will get
correct.
visa to go to America.
So
You
I
will
don't
get
blame
visa.
them.
Yeah,
So they are victims.
yeah, because we
I,
have
I used
failed
to
them.
be a victim. I used to follow religion myself,
No,
to
no,
be
no, no,
honest.
no. I have never been a victim. Okay, I've never
Okay.
been a victim.
You,
What
you never
what
be
had
you
happened
never
in
say
some
any
of
money to
this?
any prosperity gospel person.
I'm one of those who has always been skeptical about prosperity gospel
Okay. So
because
so
from the
what you have in
advent
Yucatan.
from the very beginning, the very source of this prosperity
Mhm,
gospel
mhm,
menace, from the very I realized that it's not what it seemed. Okay, I'm talking about spiritual
but George.
reliances. Hold on, someone. We're
Uh-huh.
talking about spiritual reliances for certain dogma
Mhm,
or
mhm,
certain tenets or certain beliefs.
mhm,
You must
mhm,
have some very good spiritual reliance.
mhm,
The best example we have of the church is the in the book of Acts of
mhm,
the apostles. We used to somebody would say, "Oh, the excuse is that we are in a different context." Yes, we're in a different context, but the principles remain the same. And we found out that there, or even in Matthew 25, when Jesus talked, in the book of Acts, we saw that the people pulled together their resources to be a blessing to those who did not have. There
mhm,
was a desire to be a blessing to sustain those who were in the midst, who were indigent, who
mhm,
were uh, struggling. It
mhm,
was a desire to be able to be a blessing to those people.
mhm,
Today is different. What I've seen that have proliferated across the face of the earth is single men have risen up and
mhm,
they command so much respect. Many of them were genuine men of God or whatever, But the thing about it is that many of them abused the abuse the trust and the grace of God upon their lives by taking advantage of the people. Okay, because it is wrong for you to have Rolls Royce, many Rolls Royces, many Range Rover, sports cars, and everything that you take offering when some of your people can't even make the monthly rent. They live on less than $1 today. These people, like in South Africa, like in Nigeria, like in Liberia, it's wrong. Okay, and that's where I stand. I really do not support the prosperity gospel.
Okay.
I believe in teaching people, adding value to their lives, so that they too can go out there and live, fruitful and successful lives. I
Right.
believe that no matter the social status of your members in your church, a pastor should be able to
Okay.
educate his people, teach them how to live successfully, not only spiritually to pray, 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 pray. There's a
Okay.
place for prayer.
But first of all, Josh,
Mhm.
number one, you are educated man. You are more the top, maybe I would say 5% in terms of education.
Mhm.
Okay. You live in Canada, one of the most intellectual capitals in the world, right?
Mhm.
You have a profession. You what you have to make the discernment between what is true and false. How many Liberians, okay, have that ability or have that same opportunity? So I can sit here and say I'm a deist and I can challenge anybody. We can have any debate. I can challenge anybody on any of the gospel. I can, because why? I have read it. I have studied it. Okay. And therefore I'm in a position to defend my position. I can defend why I'm a deist or I'm an atheist or whatever. Many people don't have those kinds of exposure. How many books on religion have they read? How many theology have they read? They don't even know biblical history. They don't even know any of those things, including the most of the prophets. They don't have any kind of what you call theological uh, uh, education.
Education,
Okay,
understanding.
so they themselves are victims. They themselves were people who are just looking for a means and a
Okay.
living. So you
Yeah.
ask me the man who was a victim in Nigeria the same way. Give me all of your pastors in Nigeria. What kind of real technical background
Oh
or
no,
profession?
Nigeria is different because you
Most
have
of them,
no, no,
most of them.
no, no, no. It's very different. The ones that have risen, the majority of those that have risen are professionals, guys
Okay.
with doctorate degrees, ain't nine in theology.
Right.
Guys,
Okay.
one of them, one of them was I think either a physics or mathematics professor. All
Mhm.
right, he commanded one of the largest churches in the world in
Correct.
Nigeria.
All right.
Uh,
So
yeah, but what I'm saying is a little bit different
okay.
in
So I
Liberia.
granted
In
that.
Liberia, when many
Mhm.
of us came to know the Lord and we started following Jesus,
Mhm.
we taking the conversation somewhere else. But let me just say this, then we'll go back.
Mhm.
Many of us, what happened? Those who mentor us,
Mhm.
they themselves were very limited in their understanding
Absolutely.
of things. So as a
Mhm.
result, you cannot give what you do not have. So they taught us a lopsided, very, very, very
Mhm.
shadow, gospel,
Right.
if you may. And as a result, many young men felt the only thing that was important at that time was to leave everything you were doing and come and follow Jesus and
Mhm.
preach the gospel. When it is possible to preach the gospel, but you can also be a professional. When it's
Mhm.
possible to preach the gospel, but you can be a banker, you can be a lawyer, you can be this, you can be
So
this.
so what you talking about is a difference
That's why I say
between
it's a different.
spirituality. No, I'm not going nowhere. It's a difference between spirituality and religion.
Okay,
I
so
can
let's
count
come
myself.
to the
I can
zogo
count
thing.
myself as a spiritual person.
Yeah, yeah, Alex. I don't want us to dwell on the spiritual thing. This
Okay.
show is not. I don't want us to do it
Okay.
because we can
Okay.
make it
Take it
that.
where you
All
want to
right.
go.
But let's look at the Zogo thing, right?
Mhm.
Or people grew up people in Liberia. This is strange because
Mhm.
we have not experienced this in Liberia before.
Mhm.
A group of people assemble at a crusade at night,
Mhm.
and they're about to leave, and you have a gathering of Zogos on the outside
Mhm.
in the night to extort, to hijack, to take their phones, their
Mhm.
bags, searching their bags, take their money, and whatever. That was what was going on outside. So when people noticed what was going on outside, the group that had come outside decided to go back inside because, like I said, people come from all over the place, right? And they don't have
Mm-hmm.
cars. So the thing is, before the program can finish, let me get on the road and get a car and get out of here as
Mm-hmm.
soon as possible. So that was what was going on. And then these men were out there armed with machetes and knives and whatever, and they were being accosted outside. And many of them were being assaulted. So
Mm-hmm.
when the noise went through the crowd, so the group that was outside decided to come inside, and then the people who were inside, thinking that they were in a closed space and something bad was supposed to happen,
Mm-hmm.
decided to go outside. So there was a press at the gates.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the issue on the ground, we have been to many crusades in Liberia. Nobody have bothered anybody at crusades.
Mm-hmm.
Why should this zogo thing go on? Now let me tell you, let me give you my experience with zogos.
Mm-hmm.
I doing before I went on the radio, I can remember a friend of mine, a couple of friends that were in their house in the evening. All of them were on their laptops in their living room, and these guys bashed in with weapons and took their laptops and their phones.
Mm-hmm.
So they called me the next morning and told me that they were victims of armed robbers. So I said, okay. So I went to the police. I had a friend who was in the anti-robbery, and I went and said, look, my man, I need you to help me investigate the situation. So he said, oh, but I'm busy right now, but I can give you some men. So I said, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
So he gave me two guys, and the guy said, okay, you know what? Let's go and get some ERU guys to follow us. So
Mm-hmm.
they got two ERU guys. So they say, well, give us money so we can run on. I said, I got my car. I will carry it around myself. So wherever you're going, I'll follow you. This was the first time I followed these guys, and I followed them many other times on different cases that had nothing to do with me. They will call me and say, "Be brother, you get time?" I say, "Yes." You can't let go. We went to all the major ghettos in Monrovia,
Mm-hmm.
and I saw these guys operating, beating these criminals, handcuffing them, arresting them. These same guys you see on the street, harassing people, everything. They are all chickens. Okay, yeah, the police guys they didn't have any guns on them. Only one person had a weapon. I know his name. His name is okay. I won't call his name, but he was the only person that had his 45 because he was an ERU officer, right? The
Mm-hmm.
rest of them never had anything. But these guys go into place, everybody put everybody on the ground, beat everybody up, and ask questions, relevant questions, and they get answers. And then we move to the next ghetto because we're looking for some particular individuals. At the end of the day, we arrested the people who did the armed robbery. We got the computers back, but we didn't get the money back. We got even the phones back. We
Mm-hmm.
didn't get the money back. The funny thing about it, we left the phone and the computer with the police on a Friday evening in evidence.
Mm-hmm.
Monday morning, we come back to the police station. They uh that Nokia, the one that opens and closes, I forgot the
Mm-hmm.
name of it. The phone got missing in
In the police station.
in police custody. The phone got missing. Um, so now if you ask me, okay, I will soon have to study. Okay, if you that was a clear. So I through those interactions, I got to know the Zogos, all their positions around Monrovia.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember into Kingray, bro. Let me just tell you this. I went back into Kingray and I told the people in Kingray, I said, because they have one of the biggest ghettos that we encountered. And I
Mm-hmm.
said, this ghetto you people are keeping here. I said, these people, they will sleep with your daughters. They will
Mm-hmm.
impregnate your daughters. They will born children. And your children will be called bastards because your grandchildren will be called bastards because they will have children with your daughters and they will go away. So your children will grow up with our fathers. I said, because the reason why you keep the ghetto here, because some of you here are selling drugs, some of you people are selling marijuana to them and alcohol. So you think you have a lucrative business because they go out, rob, and they bring the money back into the community. You give them rooms in your houses. They have a ghetto space here. They are smoking, they are taking drugs. There's a yellow building on the beach in Kingray. I said, they are smoking, they are taking drugs all day. You are happy with it because you are the one selling it to them, right? So you want this trade to continue
Again, self-interest.
against self-interest. Against
See,
self-interest.
you're
I
right.
say you want this trade to continue, and at the end of the day, it will ruin your community. And they are leaving from here, going all over Monrovia at night, robbing people, spreading misery. raping women, but nobody talks about that. And they come back into the community. And I said, this is wrong. You people have to stop this. But like we say, I did community engagement. I went to a lot of communities. Today, if you go to West Point and ask the Zogos in West Point about me, they'll tell you about me because I gave them jobs. I gave them employment. A lot of them, I gave them employment up Front Street. I was doing a contract there. I got them to come and do the physical labor for me. I interacted with them. But you know what? One of the biggest things before I turn it over to you that we need to discuss, it's not just most of these guys have addictions. So even if you give them jobs, even if you try to help them, if you do not get to the underlying issue, which is the drug issue in Liberia, we're not going to solve this. What say you?
Again, I disagree. I disagree that the problem, they're the problem because most people are alcoholic and they still go to work. Okay, the evidence show alcohol is one of the most addictive substance. Okay, and yet people drink. They go to their parties. They can. I know people can drink 15 bottles of stuff, and the next morning they'll be doing it all the time. So I don't think the problem is the lack of jobs.
No,
That's
Alex,
it.
stop that. Alex, let me cut you off. Please. For our
If
listeners
you give them
listening to us,
jobs,
Alex is trying
let
to
me learn.
establish, Alex, you're
But
trying
let
to
me learn.
establish a false equivalence
Uh-huh.
with Smona. You're
Okay.
trying to establish
Okay.
a
So
false
most people in
every
this
10
country, let
minutes,
me go
20
back.
minutes
Let
to
me
talk.
take it one step,
Yeah,
George.
no, but don't
Most people in
establish
this
a
no,
false.
but George, you let me finish.
Okay, go
Most
ahead.
people in this country yeah, smoke weed. Weed is a drug. It's very addictive. In fact, it's legalized. Okay. If you go to Amsterdam and in fact Canada, people are allowed to do drugs. They're allowed to smoke weed. They're allowed to drink, and they stay productive citizens. So the fact that to say that the reason why Zokos are like that, and if you give them jobs, that's not true. That's not evidence. There's no evidence to support that. That's a lazy argument to say, oh, even if we get them job, you're not. Show me one Zoko that if you gave him a good job at the U.S. embassy, and the U.S. embassy told him that hey, you got to show up 8 o'clock, we'll pay you $400 a week. You can't show up drunk or high, and see if that person will not be sober and go to that job.
Except he's not an addict.
That's what I'm saying. So
Alex,
the
Alex,
problem
Alex,
is
hold on,
lack of
someone.
opportunity. That's
No,
it.
ain't got nothing to do with opportunity.
So you're saying that the Zokos in Liberia have
Those who
opportunities?
are no. It has nothing to do with opportunity. Let's break it down first.
Okay, it has to do with
I
substance
said
abuse.
I disagree with you. You
So it
don't
has to do with
establish.
substance abuse.
Please do not establish. I agree that alcohol can cause an addiction.
Mhm.
People can get to a point to be very, very addicted to alcohol, but it's very rare because
Very rare.
alcohol is not a very addictive substance.
And it's in it with marijuana.
Yeah, here, like you said, is legalized,
Yeah.
and it's not a Schedule One narcotics. The
Well,
reality, the reality is this, right? Addiction is a
mhm,
disease. I know for a fact
mhm.
because I ran a halfway house.
Okay.
I,
You're
I,
part of
no,
the highways.
I ran a halfway house in Maryland, right? So I ran a halfway house in Maryland, and I dealt with people with addictions. I dealt with people struggling with addictions. There are people who they were in prison for 9 years, and
Mhm.
in prison you're not going to
Those are
have.
extreme, but you see,
Hold on
George,
now, hold
we're
on, hold
looking at
on,
the
hold on.
extreme cases. In fact, people in Hollywood, actors that make lots of money that suffer from addiction. I mean, Ben Affleck was institutionalized for alcohol.
Alcohol.
So what I'm saying is there's a small percentage of people, very small in society, maybe 5%, that even if you give them opportunity, even if you give them wealth, even if you give them anything, they're going to fall to to the abuse, drug
But
abuse.
that is what you find
Okay,
in Liberia. We
including
just have, hold on
hold on
now.
now, including prescription drug,
No,
opioids.
yeah, let me establish my premise here on
Mhm,
this issue. I know kids in Liberia that come from very good homes.
mhm,
Hmm?
mhm.
Mother, father, professionals making good money, and they
Right.
choose to be on the street in the ghetto
Hmm.
because they have addiction issues.
And that's a very small
It's
percentage.
not a very small thing. I dealt with this addiction issue in Liberia when I was on the radio at King's
Mhm,
FM. I went to
mhm,
the ghettos. I interviewed the kids. I would see the young children in their early teens in school
mhm,
uniforms
mhm.
smoking these things. Now I'm talking about marijuana now. And I'm very sure those people that did those things, we're talking about 8 years, 9 years ago,
Mhm.
okay, maybe even more than that. 2013, 2012, 2014, when I did those series,
Mhm.
I'm telling you, most of them today they are addicted and they are on the streets,
And no hope for
and
them.
they're you can look until you can treat the underlying stuff.
Okay, so let's move on. Let
Mm,
agree to disagree.
mm,
Okay, when I was in Liberia
mhm.
between 1990 and 1996, periodically, okay, the UN came in after the war. There was a lot of people victims of drugs during the war in 1990. A lot of Taylor soldiers, a lot of people were doing gunpowder and all that kind of stuff, right? There were programs in Liberia that, including Don Bosco. I was there when they reconstructed that building. In fact, my friend was the director of Don Bosco. Don Bosco was set up to get ex kids, warlords, ex children, child soldiers to start to be productive. All right. And it worked. Most of those kids, when they did the courses, right? Mobile Johnson, his name was, he was the first director for the John Bosco program. And it worked. And even during
They
that
were not
time,
addicts.
hold on now, even during that time, the
Mhm.
Zokos that you're seeing today in masses and the problem has gotten out of hand is because of the lack of those programs. You
Yeah,
can admit.
but let me tell you now, as much as those programs are lacking in Liberia,
Mhm.
I also says that it's a thing of we have weak drug laws. Our laws, the laws that we are have not been amended. Our penal code have not
Mhm.
been strengthened over
Mhm.
the last couple of years.
Mhm.
So in the 70s in Liberia, there wasn't hard drugs. It was
But
mainly
you're going
marijuana.
too far.
You don't know. But let me,
1990, what I'm
yeah,
saying, 1998, 2000, you
yeah.
still have weak laws, but you didn't have the number of Zocos and you didn't have the kind of problem you're having
Because
today.
we didn't have our African brothers from a certain country. If I was saying from Nigeria, bringing in hard drugs into Liberia in
There were,
unrestricted amounts. Huh?
okay, there were
No,
drugs brought in
no,
by
no, no, no,
ECOWAS.
no, no, no. Because you see, listen, Chancellor did a sweep one time. He got so pissed off with the whole idea, and maybe one of his people got caught up in drugs, and he got pissed
Mhm.
off. He sent the SSS. He said the CID wasn't doing the job. He
Mhm.
sent the SSS to go and raid all the drug dealers around Monrovia. And I went to the police station. That's when Chancellor was in power. The entire police station, all the people that were arrested, at least 80% were Nigerians. At least 80% were
Mhm.
Nigerians.
Mhm.
They had them scattered all over the place, sleeping there. The
Mhm.
SSS went around Monrovia and raided everywhere and brought them into the place.
Anyways,
I'm saying to you that the police in Liberia know who sells drugs. They
correct.
know how the drugs enter into the country. They receive kickbacks from these guys, so they allow them to operate. But the issue here with Zogos is not just like the opioid crisis in America. Bro, I've seen people who have dependency issues. You give them a job. Let me tell you, we have worked with kids, taking
Mhm.
them through detox. But the fact is, we didn't deal with the underlying psychological issues. We took them
Mhm.
through detox, but we did not deal with the issue of their self-esteem and their mental breakdown and stuff like that, right? Send them
Mhm.
back to work. I got one kid a very good job with one of these what do you call it? And they were paying him in Maryland. They were paying him $16.50. Listen
Mhm.
to me. The first month that he took his pay, the first 2 weeks he took pay, he didn't do anything. The 6th week he took his pay, he didn't do anything. By the 8th week, he derailed
Okay.
because he didn't receive the amount of counseling, the amount of checkup that he needed. We didn't have those facilities. We didn't have the resources to do that for him. So
Mhm.
I basically took his word. They call him Spicer. Sleeping one morning upstairs, and I hear a bang on my door.
Mhm.
The first time me interacting with U.S. Marshals.
Mhm.
These guys come there looking for this kid. Somebody told them that they can come to me. I'll show them where he is.
Mhm.
And they come. By that time, he had left the program. He had gone. And I didn't even remember his name was Spicer. And the guy come and say, "I'm looking for Spicer." I said, "I don't know anyone called Spicer." But you woke me up from my bed. I said, "How can you knock on someone's door like this?"
Mhm.
I mean, boop, 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 boop. When I look outside, about 15 armed men, all in the corner, all in the grass, all over the place. looking for this one kid. Okay, Maryland apprehension, fugitive apprehension team, a mixture of FBI, blah 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 blah, all over the place. I dealt with them a couple of times. I went to courts all over the place. I've seen guys who have good intentions, but because of dependencies, because of addiction, not able to do anything in their lives. They think they're dealing with Liberia. As much as we can say zogo, 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 if we do not make laws, okay, we do not make laws to serve as a deterrence for drugs, for drug dealing in Liberia, we'll still have the proliferation of drugs in our market. And once drugs are free and accessible to the kids, we have many. I've lost my nephew. I lost somebody that I really cared about, a kid that I loved. I lost him to drugs. Okay, I have relatives that are struggling with drugs right now in Liberia. I have kids that we talk is a thing that we talk about all the time. It is not just because you can those kids. One of them, he has a very successful father. He comes from a comfortable home, but he can't stay home. The man supposed to be in Stella Maris. He can't go to school.
Mhm.
The man doesn't go to school. He takes his money to go to school and goes and does whatever he wants to do because of dependency. So we got to get to the issue of treating the addictions.
But I agree. I couldn't agree with you more. Your country in health, the budget is $83 million. Okay, the social development sector, they say $26 million. Education, which part of of course, educating 87. Where is this money going? Why do you spend almost, according to the budget, $150 million every year,
Mhm.
and you can't account for any successful program that
Self
treats
interest.
people?
You said
Hmm?
self interest.
Yeah.
Everyone
So
seeks his own.
the money is there, obviously, and it's just the fact that, again, because of ignorance, because the people in the House of Representatives feels this is not my issue, like you mentioned. The people in the government, George, we had children are in Liberia, right? Uh, most of the representatives and their family are not victimized by it, so they
Oh,
don't live in those
you think
communities.
so? You think so?
That's what they think.
No, no, no. But presently, they're not talking about it. But
A- a-
many families have kids in the house. I know a
and I
particular.
will get and I will get to the point. I will get to the point where I'm saying I'm not agreeing with them to say that
Mhm.
because you don't have a child in Liberia, or you're not living in a certain community, it's ignorance. Because at the end of the day, it's going to affect you just like everybody else. And you mentioned that. Okay. Whenever you see society is broken, everybody will suffer at the end of the day. Somebody can go get on drug, right? And your daughter or son can be going to school, good school, perfect, and can run into them and kill them. So you not taking the money that's supposed to go to social health programs, to go to law enforcement, and you thinking that you can take $15,000 and you can say, at the end of the day, that's what got Liberia where it is. It's this
Okay,
self-interest
Alex, Alex, let me say this to
that's
you.
got to be changed.
Alex, let me say this to you. As much as what you're saying is true, but there are underlying issues here.
Mhm.
Uh, we're looking at the issue of self-interest, right?
Right.
We're looking at the issue of addiction, and these people, the big people in Liberia who are decision makers, whether from the
Mhm.
parliament or from government and everything, this
Mhm.
drug thing is affecting almost every family in Liberia right now, one way or the other, either
I
your
agree.
cousin or your this or your that. So the Zokos now is not only the disadvantaged, or I mean the poor, the children of the poor. That's that.
Yeah,
Nobody should think
not
that
only those in
the Zogo,
Liberia,
the Zogo issue.
George.
Nobody should believe that the Zogo issue has to do with the children of the poor,
Mhm.
the children of the wealthy, the children of the middle class in Liberia are also Zogos today. They are
And I
also
totally
Zogos
agree
today.
with you. And
Okay, but
again,
let's focus our energy on this thing.
okay.
Um, the issue of law enforcement in Zogos. Now you see, like in America, for instance, they cannot treat everybody.
Mhm.
They can treat those who come in for treatment either through intervention, or you get arrested and they force you to go for treatment. Is that how you come in for treatment? In Liberia, we do not have treatment programs. We do not have treatment programs. Also, We don't have the facilities to arrest these people and keep them in and force them to go through detox. We don't have facilities for that.
Okay, so let's take it one at a time. Let's go to the lack of treatment programs, right? Let's just address that for a second because we can't solve all the problems in society, but we can
No,
solve
of
some
course
of the
not.
problems.
Yeah.
Let's say, so why don't we have treatment facilities in Liberia? What are private or public?
We don't have people are trying. I see some stopgap. I mean, people, individuals trying to open treatment centers for few. I had
Mm-hmm,
a call, and the person was asking me, how I ran the treatment facility that I ran in Maryland and how
mm-hmm,
it was and everything, and I gave them my experience.
mm-hmm,
But let me also tell you this, that the reason why is because people thumb their noses down at these people. They feel they are hopeless,
mm-hmm,
and they can just avoid them. And once it's not me or maybe my immediate children, my
mm-hmm.
family, then it's okay that they can.
Eh,
But the thing is, now the children, those zogos, first it was when I was in Liberia, it was they were camped in few places, but now they are almost in every community in
mm-hmm,
Liberia.
mm-hmm,
Okay, they are assembling in almost every community, and everywhere they gather,
mm-hmm,
people phones, people houses, burglary, breaking and entry is the norm of the day. Now they've gone from that now to standing at intersections at night or broad daylight, okay, attacking people coming from church on Sunday, taking their phones, looking in their wallets and their purses, taking their purses and their wallets, or taking their money broad daylight.
mm-hmm.
And in Liberia, we have this. Since it's not me, I won't say anything about it. So as a result, it continues to proliferate.
Right.
They continue to get bored and more and bored and bored and emboldened
Mm-hmm,
by nobody. And then I think so again because also again, let me say this to you, Alex. The prosecutorial arm of the Ministry of Justice, the lawyers are not doing their job. Because even when the police arrest these people, there are no lawyers to compile a case to take them to court. So if
mm-hmm,
they take them to South Beach, they're going to be at South Beach for a few days,
mm-hmm,
a week or whatever, and then NGOs will come and file the writ of habeas corpus for them, and then they will free them, and then
mm-hmm,
they will go because they are in prison and nobody have prosecuted them. They're just sitting
mm-hmm,
there, languishing in that dirt and that filth and that heat.
mm-hmm,
So as a result, they put them out and they go back to the communities they came from, and they go target the same people that they were targeting before, and communities feel hopeless against this. And those who listen to me from Liberia, if communities can could gather at night when armed robbery became prevalent in our society, and we gather at night and we form neighborhood watch teams and we
mm-hmm,
protect our communities, I also believe right now that since the communities cannot resolve the Zogo issue, but we're talking about dependencies, addiction, and then the drug law, the proliferation
mm-hmm,
of drugs, those communities do not have the capacity to deal with those things. But what they can do is to protect the community. And how you do it by sacking those ghettos, destroying the ghettos that are in your community and telling them, we don't want you here. Because as long as they're in your community, all the neighboring communities are under constant attack at night. People are being slashed, gashed, stabbed with knife to take their properties from them. And these kids are just getting bored and bored and bored and bored because they want drugs. Look, same place I tell you, okay, in the middle of the day, 12 o'clock, that building I told you about, there's a yellow building on the beach, a story building
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
at King Gray. We went there. They had a room there that had zinc. They used zinc to carve out a room in the empty shell of the building. And the police guy were looking for somebody. So the police guy said, "Let's go and check down the beach." We went to the place, bro. When the guy stepped the door open, and those kids noticed that there were police, more than 100 living human beings came from in that place. Those children tore that building down with their bare hands to escape. They broke the planks, they removed the zinc with their bare hands to escape because they didn't want to go to jail. Right in my
mm-hmm.
presence, I'm just standing my hand folded looking. Okay? The children that were on the beach in Kingray, Alex, they
Well,
came.
somebody, I was just reading some of the comments here and people saying, yes, and they're right. This is not my expertise in terms of drug addiction or all that kind of stuff. But my expertise is in development. My expertise is in human development, it's in economic development. And there's no way you can solve any health problem, okay, or any of societal problems without having the resources and the will.
No,
Like I agree with you.
no,
I agree with you. You saying go to those places and break it down in your neighborhood.
yeah,
It seems to be a temporary solution.
but
They're going to go somewhere else. Hold on.
mhm,
And let me just give you some statistics here. You see Brazil, you see South Africa. South Africa is the most dangerous capital in the world. South Africa, they got billionaires, the highest number of billionaires in Africa. Why? Because of the same issue where you try to address the symptom of the problem and you never address the real issue. The real issue in South Africa, until people have jobs to take care of themselves, there will always be violence.
I agree.
The real issue in Brazil and even in America, yeah, if you go to Compton, all right, if you go to places, I won't label any particular place, but
But
whether it's Detroit,
Compton has changed.
but I'm just giving an example. It's
Oh
an
no, no, Camden,
economic,
Camden is not Camden. Yes,
Camden,
Camden have
right?
changed.
It's an economic problem. That's it. I'm not saying that people, and I'm not saying that we as a drug or whatever, those who are expertise in that area, they can make the determination. Some will agree, some will disagree. That's not my contention. My contention here is that yeah, there are a small amount of people, even in the most developed country, are going to be victims of substance abuse. Maybe 1%, 2% of society. But when you have a society where 20, 30%, 40, 50% of people unemployed, 40, 50% of the people don't have living or any kind of social programs, assistance, you're not going to
Nothing
have
works.
one or two. Hmm?
Nothing works.
Exactly.
Yeah, but
So the issue here is why we have that problem in Liberia. Obviously, like I said, you look at the
we have a
budget that's
problem.
moving.
We already enumerated some of the reasons. The issue of lack of interest, the lack of patriotic, the lack of belief in Liberia. People have lost faith in Liberia. There are people in power today who
Mhm,
have no love for the country anymore. They've told themselves that maybe they've been victims by, like they've seen Liberians for who we
mhm.
are. So as a result, every man for himself. And these are some of the underlying things.
I agree.
Okay. Look, I'll give
Yeah.
you a common example.
Hmm.
I don't think it would take $5 million
Hmm.
to build three or four, holding facilities
Hmm.
for people with drug addiction or criminals, whatever. Because the first thing I want to say here to those listening to us is the Monrovia Central Prison should be torn down.
Hmm.
That's the first thing I want to say here. It should be torn down and rebuilt because it's not meant for human habitation. It's not because somebody is. And then the worst thing about Monrovia Central Prison is that most of the prisoners at the Monrovia Central Prison are pre-trial detainees.
Hmm.
Okay, if you got 1,000 people there, maybe under 200 would be convicts that they've
Hmm.
gone through court, their cases have been adjudicated, and they've been found guilty. And they told them, they found them guilty and they sent them to prison.
Hmm.
800 of those at the central prison will be pre-trial detainees or pre-trial in-trial detainees, people who cases are being adjudicated, and
Hmm.
people and the majority will be people who are not even seeing the inside of the court. Since
Hmm.
the Monrovia City Court send them there, or the Painesville Court, or some kind of justice of the peace or
Hmm.
city court send them there. I'm telling you, some kind of magisterial court send them there. Okay, the major since they went there, since they one of these magisterial courts send them to South Beach, they've never seen inside the court. Some of them for 6 months, 9 months. So they have these NGO lawyers, the pro bono lawyers going filing the rate of habeas corpus for them to set people free. They set them free in mass.
Hmm.
But what I'm saying to you is this: our system is broken. Okay, because even if you arrest the zogo who commits a crime, and there is
You put it in
evidence,
pictures.
the lawyers at Justice Ministry are too busy to even come and say they want to prepare a charge sheet, amass the evidence, and send the
Hmm.
man forward to court for something. So the main penalty is after he's arrested, he's brought before the magistrate at the Monrovia City Court, and
Hmm.
he's sent to remand. That his punishment there. The day somebody get fed up because the prison is Morrison the prison is too crowded, he walks free. He
Hmm.
comes back into society to reoffend.
Hmm.
These are the issues we are dealing with, Alex.
So how do
And
you
what-
solve it? The thing is, I listen to you guys. It's like we know the problem. The idea of politics is to find solution, and I don't hear any solution. Unfortunately, I don't hear any solution from Cummings. I don't hear any solution from Boakai. I don't hear any solution from.
Although Boga just said that he wants a national dialogue on
Okay,
determining
we've been
the
having dialogues and
no
solutions and
on
all that.
this
Okay,
issue there have been no
okay,
dialogue on this issue.
okay. So let him start the dialogue. Let him create the dialogue.
But that's what he has said. He
Okay,
wants a national
so
dialogue
we
on the
need to.
issue.
What I'm saying again, we need to stop talking for the leaders now and start doing. The time that everybody spend on all these, political rivalry. If a political party 2 months ago, 3 months ago, were going and doing what you said, taking some of the Zokos and putting them in a house and giving them treatment, or making sure that there were money allocated for the defense or wherever, or making sure that there was some kind of opportunities, I would join that political party.
Okay, let me tell you something, Alex.
But
Let
you
me.
don't. No, but you keep cutting me off. You
Okay,
you
go ahead.
have a completely dead. You have a political organization that can care less. This is real issue. What is telling the people? Wait 3 years from now, 2 years from now, when I get elected, then I will solve this problem. You think Barack Obama was waiting until he got in the White House before he went in his community to treat the same drug laws and to treat the same people? That's lack of leadership. And again, that's what we're talking about, self-interest. Make me president. Okay. You think Nelson Mandela was waiting to become president of South Africa before he did what he did? Or Jerry Rawlings? So the problem goes back to our lack of leadership. Lack of leadership. The leaderships in Liberia, they are all selfish people that want power. And when they get power, they will not do anything with it. I can guarantee you. The same way Ellen was making all this noise, make me president, make me when I'm president, will stop corruption. When she got there, what did she do? Because you need to look for leaders that are already doing those things in the community. And that's a mistake that you and I make, and a mistake that many of my brothers and sisters are making again. They are not looking for people who are providing solutions in the community, solution in the country. They're spending all their time behind these people to get and become president. Well, George Weah didn't tell what he would do. He come from the slum. If anybody that would have been would care for people in the slum, and if there's any evidence that people tell you they will do certain things when they get in power, George Weah should be the example. He comes from the slum, his family, he wherever. When he president today, look how many cars behind him. Look how his shoe he wearing. Look how the plane he flying on.
Yeah,
Do you
but
think he is?
Alex, there's a
You think he
disconnect.
can take some of that resources, the $20 million every year that he gets, the $1.5 million he worth get? If they just took 10% or 20% of it, if he really care, that system of the fact that wait till somebody get there, they will change. Only a fool would believe that because it never happens.
Yeah,
It never
the
happens.
thing
If
is,
somebody is not doing something today, evidence show when they get there, they're not going to do it. So show me the political party, the political leader that is in these communities, the West Point, the Nuku Town, that is really addressing the issues, the money that we're taking to canvas, the money that we're taking to buy newspaper, the money that we're taking to build party headquarters. Maybe we should take some of those money and we should put it into programs.
yeah, but if they don't have a party headquarters, the same people will
You don't
say
need
again
part.
that they
Go on a Palava Hot.
no,
Oh, so you
Alex,
you telling me that
you're being extreme.
it's more important. So when they
In
didn't have party headquarters all this time,
everything is important. Everything
oh
is of equal importance. They
come on,
must
Josh.
have. Listen,
But
I
you
know
don't have to build.
parties. No,
Okay,
hold on.
you don't have to
They're
build an
not building.
elaborate
They're
party
renting these
headquarters.
places. They're
You
renting
don't
these
have to
places.
build a
Alex,
multi-million-dollar headquarters.
political. You don't. You can. Listen. The mistake you keep making is
Okay.
this. I will tell you, brother.
Mhm,
Political parties are
mhm.
not responsible to do these things.
Oh, I
Can
disagree
they?
with you.
listen to me now. Listen, they don't. That's not their responsibilities.
Mm-hmm.
That's not their responsibilities.
Ready.
The government should take the lead on finding solution to these problems. That's why they collect taxes. That's why they have the
Mm-hmm.
national budget at their disposal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? The first thing that ails Liberia, apart from
Mm-hmm.
the lack of patriotism, apart from the lack of nationalistic tendencies or concepts or perceptions, what ails Liberia, apart from that, is the fact that corruption at every stage in the governance process, there's bleeding of money going on.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you create the necessary where provisions in the budget for these things, if you do not deal with the underlying issue of corruption, the money will not still get to the end user. Let me tell you what will happen.
So how do you deal,
Let me
Josh?
just say
How do
one
you
thing.
deal with the underlying issue of corruption? You
Yeah, let me
can't get
say
no
this.
solution.
Yeah, let me say this to you. You should
Mm-hmm.
the solution.
Mm-hmm.
You It comes from leadership.
Okay.
The leader should make corruption a pariah.
Mm-hmm.
Because if he doesn't, what will be happening at the Morovia Central Prison is what is happening. The woman who is in charge of feeding the prisoners, she takes their food and
Mm-hmm.
divides it and cooks very good meal with some portion of their food that she sells to them. And then she uses the rest and cook complete yampa,
Mm-hmm.
water mess that
Mm-hmm.
she gives to them to
Mm-hmm.
eat.
Mm-hmm.
She takes their same food, oh, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying she buy go to the market and buy
She
food.
takes the personal food and
They take the
she
personal
steals it.
food,
Okay.
cooks different kind of food
Okay.
for those who have money to buy from her. Like you buying kobo.
Mm-hmm.
Then they get it one and then for these zogos and teens who don't have nobody, they are abandoned because they now steal all the things from their man and their part and nobody care about them anymore. They're in prison.
Mm-hmm.
So she fixed the water soup and the mess and they gave them to eat.
Okay. All
So
right.
those who have
So that's one example of corruption that starts from the woman who in the anything. But what about the other example, right? Where you have leaders or people who claim to be leaders in Liberia
mm,
and they break the law violently, okay? And people come and support them. Let me give you an example. The current case we have right now. Let's go back to it. Okay. No, if I'm gonna waste my son to come here, then we're gonna talk it. I no seriously. You
okay, go ahead.
people are claiming integrity. People are claiming my friends in the ANC and the unit, and I'll go order because I know when I talk about the building, how you should then build $2 million building or how much $1 million building, you should take some of that money. You are defensive, so I understand. Let me go to the ANC. People are claiming integrity. They won't fight corruption. Okay. And you have a situation, forget about the court case, where documents were manipulated and no one can hold a leader accountable. But they want to convince me that when that person over $500 million budget, all of
Mm,
a sudden they will change. You see what's happening in society. We talk about a woman in a prison with a soup, okay? And granted, but the corruption is not coming from just the lady with the soup in the prison. It's coming from your BB people who see. Let go back. Alhaji
okay. Let,
Koman
let, let's deal with the
indicted.
corruption.
Hold on, Alhaji Koman indicted in the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. Yeah, he didn't go to Liberian court, but that is a court. Your vice president comes out there and releases a statement that praises a man who is indicted for killing or his men killing, raping over 200,000 people. And nobody in Unity Party will criticize that. That is not integrity, my brother.
Yeah, but you see, Alex, I've said this to you before.
So you do that go to Joshua, a man who claims he respect laws, that goes the county meet, the least thing you can have some integrity on. That says it's supposed to be for youth to give them jobs. Zokos. You go there and you take that away from them, even though you have $20 million almost every year, but a little time or exposure that youth people as well supposed to get, you go there, and because you're president, you take that away. You're breaking the law. But you will be the same person who will come out tomorrow and say, we want your go and chase Zoko. In my
Okay,
opinion, Zoko is not a
Alex,
problem.
Alex,
Our
Alex,
leaders are the problem.
agreed. But let me say this
And
to
we
you.
support our leaders, our bad leaders.
No, listen, Alex, you cannot. You see, Alhaji Koban,
Mm-hmm.
was he the leader of UNIMO? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
The UNIMO commit these atrocities? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Is he to be held? Was he to be held accountable for the atrocities that
Mm-hmm.
his foot soldiers did?
Yes.
Yes. In the midst of that,
Mm-hmm.
there was still a lot of good that this guy did.
Oh my God. Then Hitler. Hitler
Excuse
did good.
me.
I
Excuse me.
disagree with you, Josh.
No, no. You see. Let me tell you something. There is no perfect brush to paint anything with. Was he to be in prison for the actions of Unumo? Bro, I lost cousins
Mm-hmm.
from the atrocities that Unumo did. Okay, but what I'm saying is this: why Unumo was doing that? The man was teaching mass communication at University of London. He was impacting knowledge.
It
Most
doesn't
of
matter.
Wait, hold on. So, but what I'm saying is, you got to understand, not everyone will stand in repudiation of this particular man, because to them,
I'm,
hold on
did I
now,
say everyone?
hold on. I'm just saying something to you.
Mm-hmm.
What you are saying, you are
Mm-hmm.
right, and I back it. But I'm
Mm-hmm.
also trying to tell you this: that not everyone will paint him with that brush,
And I
because
agree.
we have my point here. The war, they felt it was a necessity. The man had to come to support and fight Charles Taylor and do whatever. The people will give you look. The argument will go on all day if you go in certain arena
But the
and what.
idea here, Josh,
Yeah,
Josh.
but I was going somewhere.
Okay,
Let me just land and
okay,
you come.
get there. Let me see how you
Yeah.
can defend this.
No, my point to you is this, right?
Mm-hmm.
I am not defending Alaji Kuma, but what I'm saying to you is
Mm-hmm.
we can. There are no moral absolutes.
And I agree.
The chancellor today that is in the Hague,
Mm-hmm.
if you put him in Liberia today and he
I
came in the
agree.
political arena, he will win
Correct.
the election.
Mm-hmm.
He will win the election. Is he a vile, reprehensible human being who devalue the sanctity of human life? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
The Haji Kuma do the same? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But I will tell you the Haji Kuma I know
Mm-hmm.
they not sent Yunumoke to kill people and commit mass atrocities.
Mm-hmm.
The difference was he was head. I will tell you this. He
Mm-hmm.
was head of Yunumo, but he wasn't the battlefield commander of
So
Yunumo.
Chancellor sent people to go rape and go kill and go do all of that.
Chancellor,
Yeah.
he sent
He
people
told
to
he
Sierra
told
Leone.
soldier go there and rape her.
He sent
Yeah.
people to Sierra Leone with specific
To cut
instruction
people out.
to
You
cause
being
mayhem.
biased, Josh. Listen,
I'm not being biased. I'm telling you the truth.
no
He
court
sent people.
in Sierra
Listen,
Leone Chancellor was
it was proven in
no, it was
court.
never proven. The
How
only
you
thing
say
that
it
was
was never proven?
responsible for Chancellor, he was found guilty of
Mhm,
taking war in Sierra Leone, but he was
mhm.
never found guilty. All the testimony that were laid off, nobody came and said
Did you
Chancellor.
hear? Did you listen to the verdict? Did you listen to the sentencing?
He
The
was
verdict.
held responsible,
He was held responsible.
just like Ahadji Kumar. George, the thing is very
The
simple, and now I'm saying
sentence
that's
is
self-interest.
listen.
This is
No,
self-interest.
wait.
When people
There
support
were.
certain
This is not
people in
self
Liberia,
interest. I am not supporting anybody. I'm gonna try to tell you now. I'm gonna try to tell
okay.
you. We will hold leaders accountable.
Mm-hmm.
We hold leaders accountable. But for instance, Joseph Boakai have a personal relationship. They been knowing each other. He been knowing this man since he was young. He's his friend. So I'm not going to change. You
Okay,
should
so let me
understand
reveal
this.
something to you. Let me tell you what
Mhm.
leadership and integrity is. Okay. You see Agnes Taylor? Agnes Taylor is my cousin. Okay. But should I support her for the wrong that she did with Charles Taylor? If today she was prosecuted, I will come out and rejoice. She should be prosecuted for her crimes,
Mhm,
even if that's my sister.
mhm,
Okay.
mhm,
The difference between me and people like Joseph Boakai and your leaders is they don't have any integrity. So when you know somebody and the person is doing wrong to society, the person has caused pain and suffering to so many people, you don't come out
mhm.
and praise them because the mass communication thing. You stand up forward with the people and say, look, I know this man. but I do not support endorse what he's done. He's done a terrible thing, and Liberians should be held responsible for it.
Alex Jones,
That's what a leader would do.
when you listen,
And the fact is, today we have no leaders in Liberia. That's the
you
difference, and we
you
want
equate this to leadership. That's not the only thing that makes a person a leader.
what is one of the key characteristics
Listen,
of a good leader.
eulogizing a man who was a titular head of a rebel group,
A
and
man who
he
was
wasn't a commander. He didn't have any direct influence
okay
over the troops.
Josh,
Anyway,
like I said,
we
yeah,
straying.
we
Listen,
that they agree to disagree on that one. You may think that Haji Kumar was a good man or he should be
no, 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 no,
praised.
no, 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 no,
Okay,
no. Let me say, Haji Kumar missed bad.
okay.
Haji Kumar, I will tell you, he was a decent gentleman. That's just the truth.
Not decent to the people who lives were destroyed.
Listen, that war.
You see,
I also say to you,
Mhm,
that
mhm.
should he have been held responsible for the actions of Yurimoke? Yes.
He's in the TRC commission.
Yeah, but that does not mean that he took those, he gave the
The
order.
man, okay, Josh,
Yeah, he did not give those orders.
it's the same thing as saying. Let me tell you something. It's the same thing as saying today the corruption in Liberia. George Weah didn't tell anybody to go steal. George Weah does not tell anybody.
But George Weah is
No,
stealing himself.
hang on, man. No, there's no court, there's no conviction of George Weah stealing. There's no evidence of that. You see how we have double standard. We criticize George Weah and saying, "Hey, people are bad, is stealing." No evidence, no trial, no conviction, no commission. Right? We also sit here and we say all the most disparaging thing for the people who don't like the leader, what you call Taylor or Weah or whoever. But when it comes to our own guy, then we sit there and say, then we'll find an excuse and say, well,
I,
George Weah, did not tell anybody not to do that job.
I
George Weah,
cannot look at you. I will not back you on this. When you look at me and tell me that Joseph Boakai is a man that lacks integrity. If there's anybody in Liberia that has integrity, it's Joseph Boakai. In every way.
maybe,
Hold
let
on,
me say this now.
hold on.
I
Joseph
didn't say,
Boakai,
I
when it
said
comes
it's
to
not
integrity.
integrity
Oh, but you say
when
integrity.
you go there and you publicly, all
But
right,
that's not
give
the lack of
admonition.
integrity. That's not the lack of integrity.
Okay,
That's me having a relationship with Alex Jones.
yep.
Alex Jones committed crimes that he was never held liable for.
He was held liable in the truth
By who? By who?
the Truth and Reconciliation Commission listed people and they did a people testify. They spent millions of dollars. The
Mhm.
Khalid Kumar name is mentioned in it.
But
For the crimes he's committed against
he was
humanity.
never
Hold on
tried
now.
and found guilty.
Hang on now. You asked a question for the crime. So this is not just allegations somebody bringing in. He had a chance to testify. They took his testimony. They gave him his day in front of the commission, and he was found to be liable for the death and destruction, most liable, along with other people, including Eddie Johnson Salif.
Mhm.
So we take these same people now that we went on and we investigated. We just charged them and they found guilty. But then
They
we
were not
hurl them
he
up.
was
Hold on
never
now.
found guilty.
Hold on now. Then we come, we
No,
bring
no,
them
no,
and
no,
lift
no.
them
You're
up.
setting the wrong premise. You're setting the wrong premise. He was never found guilty of committing any crime. Was he in the TRS report? Yes. Did they commit crimes? Yes. But my point to you is this: if he had gone to court, no, you see, Alex, listen,
The
let's
TRC
be
was
honest here.
established to
It
investigate the
wasn't
war
a
crime.
court. It
It's no
wasn't,
different.
listen, it wasn't a court.
Yeah, but it was established as a
It wasn't a
commission.
court. You agree?
It doesn't have to be a court.
Come on.
Listen,
Listen,
Alhaji Gomar agreed to the premise of the Truth and Reconciliation. He testified against it. He knew that the finding were backed by the law at the time. There was an act that created it. The
yeah, but
international community. Hold on now. If he didn't think that it carried any weight, then he should have abstained from it. He should have condemned it. You can go to a process and say, I agree with the process. This process is going to come up with recommendations, right? And then when the process come out with a recommendation, like Ellie Johnson Salif, when the recommendation is against you, then you come down and you tear the
time,
process down.
time is against us. Alex, let me say this to you. Let me
We're
say this
not
to you.
ready yet.
No,
We're
you
not
see
ready as a
you
people.
no, but you can't say, oh, because Joseph
We-
Walker went to that's his friend. What do you want him to do?
okay,
To
well, let me
abandon?
say,
Hey,
let,
hold on now. You're being an extremist here. You
How am I
expect
not
the
sure?
man,
It's a fact.
no, yeah, but that's the reality. You expect a man to throw away his relationship with
Yes,
somebody,
I expect a
and
leader.
guess what? It would
Listen, and we don't
listen. You
have those
live
kind of leaders in
your
Liberia,
beliefs.
George, and that's what we're
You
suffering.
you are being. Show me what country you saw that in.
Where country?
What country?
Rwanda, Botswana.
What happened? What
Okay.
happened with
In
Rwanda?
Rwanda, those who committed the crimes against humanity, they're not praised.
Because they were
Those
Tutsis.
who hold on.
Because they were Hutus rather. And
Yeah,
you know
but the
who's in power?
leadership, hold on,
You
what I'm
know who's
saying
in power?
was,
You know who's in
hold
power?
on. You asked a question. What I'm
Mhm.
saying here, there are many countries, there's no perfection everywhere.
Ahem.
I'm not claiming for perfection, but when someone has been given a pawn to a process, when someone has been found liable for
Can I?
something that is despicable in society, all right,
Yeah. So I should. But you
we
should
as
abandon him.
leaders, okay,
You
we
should
should not
abandon.
go out there and undermine that very process.
Come on, man. The man is dead. What's your problem, Alex? The man, Alex, listen. Okay, my time to talk now. Let me say this to
Okay,
you,
okay,
right?
all right.
It for me, it falls flat to
Mhm,
blame Joseph Boakai for going or for speaking good about his friend, because the care issue
mhm.
is only a blip in the long life of Haji Kurma.
Oh gosh.
No, no, no. Let's take it in context. Was Haji Kurma wrong? Yes, but you cannot say a man who has been a friend of this man for all these years, despite the war. Everybody
We're
has.
good. Then listen, let me let
Can
go.
you can I can I
Maybe
can
we'll
I
have a whole
finish
show on
can
this.
I finish my
What
point? Can I
good
finish my
has
point?
Haji Koman done for the
Excuse
Liberian
me.
people all
Cannot
these years?
cannot like I said, being an educator alone, impacting knowledge to a lot of people who are graduates today and
To
running radio
impact
stations.
knowledge that Doe was a good person in the
Hey
leadership of
man, my
Liberia.
man, that thing are different. You talking about TRC, talking about TRC testimony. I'm talking about TRC
No.
testimony.
Let's go to his educational days.
Okay,
Let's go
okay,
to
hold on now,
educational
hold on.
days.
What educational days? Tiago Kuma just started teaching recently. He been teaching mass communication at the University Library for almost 30 years.
That's what I'm saying. So during the 80s, he was part of the Doe administration.
Somebody gotta work for somebody. What your problem?
Okay, but that's what I'm saying.
Okay,
You
no, no,
asked a
no.
question. You
You may want.
asked a
Listen,
question. What
no,
I'm saying here is
you may want
not
reference because
because
we're
listen,
about to go. Listen, because we're about to go.
not because somebody
You
is
made a
teaching.
reference here. You made a reference here that I need to go and correct you on that reference.
Okay.
The Kagame government that you praised today.
Mhm.
Kagame was the titular head, second in command, or
Mhm.
the field commander of the RPF. Now,
Correct.
do you know that the
Mhm.
RPF committed mass atrocities in their march to overthrowing
There's
the
no
military
evidence.
regime?
Show me. Hold on. Show me the commission.
Oh
Listen to me
God!
now.
It is
Because
not a
when you say
commission.
atrocity, listen. When you
The
say
man who wins, let me tell you something. The tail of the hunt is always written by
UN,
the victor.
listen. The United Nations, the Hague, or the international body, nobody has come out. All right. The Hutus Tutsi war was brought before the Hague, was brought
Mhm.
before the United Nations, was brought before the international community. You have Human Rights Watch. None of them have come up and said that during the prosecution of that war, that Paul Kagame or in his leadership or deputy leadership or any mass massacre on people who were not combatants
Not
of
mass massacre. They killed. Listen, there were
in the
people.
process of
Stop.
war. Yes.
Alex, when it comes to Rwanda,
Okay.
when it comes to Rwanda,
Mhm.
I have read, I have watched, I've spent years, brother. I was sitting here
Yeah,
with
so
you.
am I. Like I said,
I've spent
I study these things and I
years
can tell you.
Oh, no, but you can't look at me and tell me that they nobody came on. No, there were no accusations against the RPF. Where are you coming from?
What I'm saying
I will
here
call you
is
on another
that
show. I will call you on another
well,
show. No, I will call you on another show, and I will bring the allegations
there were
against them.
no commission set up that held them responsible for massacre, as in the
Yeah,
case of
but guess
Liberia. Let me finish now. As in the case of
yeah, because
Liberia,
they never had a
where you
TRC.
had an internationally backed commission that found Alhaji Kumar, Eli Johnson Sirleaf, and others responsible and culpable. When that's the case, bring that commission's report. Okay, bring
In talking about Rwanda?
anywhere, yes, Rwanda or anywhere else where a leader or a warlord or anybody. I'm not saying that people don't go to war. It's
Mhm.
different for you to go to war and massacre innocent people or kill people in the process or abuse people than go to war for defense. And what Haji Kurma and Charles Taylor did were not defense or not fighting combatants. They were fighting innocent people more.
Alex, I managed to allow you
Yeah, they
to
were
stray
looting the country.
to take me from what we want for what we were discussing today. That's the danger with you. Listen, we want to thank our viewers out there. We're about to close the show. Yeah, because we were talking, Alex. Let me tell you something. There are no moral as much
For you
as
keep
there are
going
no
to
moral
defend these
absolutes.
leaders.
Listen, there are no moral absolutes on the face of this
Mhm,
earth. Hmm?
mhm, mhm.
There are no moral absolutes on the face of the earth. Uh, even your worst villain, we have supporters. Your worst villain, we have friends. A man can be considered a boogeyman somewhere, but he's already also a family man, and he also has support. Um, Standing by, and nobody speaks ill of the dead in where we come from.
Well,
It
I
is
do. If
considered.
the
It is
dead, if the person, I do.
you, but then you fine. But guess what? And because you're not close to the person, if you were in the position of Joseph Boakai,
Mhm.
who have hopes and aspiration to win election in Liberia, and Alaji Kuma, his friend, and Joseph Boakai, after the death of Alaji Kuma, Joseph Boakai, forget about even politics. You expect Joseph Boakai to stand and say, "Oh, I know Alaji Kuma, yeah, he taught people and everything, but he was a warlord and kill people and all of that." Man, it's not going to happen, bro. It's not going to happen.
And so that's
Now
what we
with Joseph
said
Boakai,
earlier. It's against self-interest.
it's not
So
self-interest.
no, no.
That's not self-interest. That's
But
discipline.
let me let you. You know, I know that you're sure, but you give me a chance to give my view. You don't have to agree with me. You don't
Mm-hmm.
have to agree with me. What I'm saying here is, it's like the Ku Klux Klan in America.
You,
They have families, they have jobs, they're people. People love them. But for a national leader to go and say, "Oh, a wizard in the Ku Klux Klan was a good man," in his DNA, or the Nazi. Oh my God, man.
you comparing Haji Kroman to David Duke or any Grand Wizard.
Worse, worse, worse. I compare him to people like Hitler. So is Chancellor, so is Ellen, for the lives that they kill, the lives for power in Liberia. They're no different from these people.
They are very. You can't. Let me tell you something. There is no comparison between any of these people.
Yeah, that's what I'm
It
saying.
wasn't.
Then let's
Listen,
agree to disagree.
chancellor persecution of that war had nothing to do with hate. Had nothing to do with race.
I'm
So
not saying
there
race.
is you
I'm
can't
talking
put.
about,
Listen,
listen,
Alex, in all your extremism. Listen, in all
no,
your
I'm
extremism.
saying in terms of human lives and tragedy,
No, it's
in
still not
terms.
comparable. It's still not comparable.
Okay, so compare somebody who just wear gowns of late and preaches against racism against somebody who actually carry, who soldier
Yeah. I know, bro.
kill and open women's stomach and kill, and they don't even do anything about it or even condemn it. Or even condemn it. I live in Liberia. I saw some of these things. I'm a victim of it. So when to see any one of these leaders, whether it's Joseph Boakai or anybody else for them, or Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, to see them even indulge or encourage people that these people, the heinous things that they did.
So when
You
Ellen
understand?
Johnson said he died, you don't expect to be. You don't
Oh, I'll
expect us
be
to
happy.
also
To be
hold
honest
on.
with
So
you,
the last
to
time
be
when
honest with you,
Hold on now, hold on. Joseph Boakai, Cummings, everybody went to see Ellen on her birthday, and Ellen
and
was the
that's why I don't have
major.
any respect for these people. Listen, the
Come
difference
on,
between,
Alex, man.
listen,
Okay, you know what? Okay,
George,
we gotta go.
George, the
It
difference
doesn't,
between George, the
Alex. That's
difference,
not
George.
what this is
Let me just
about.
get my parting comments. The difference between some people, some Liberians, all right, and others, or some of us, right? We are not beholden to this popularity where you got to say the right thing or you got to support somebody even though they're wrong. I can give a damn for Eddie Johnson Sirleaf. I can give a damn. She died tomorrow, I'll be happy. The people who got killed that she sponsored a
I'm
war and
not saying
support.
you. I'm saying those who are leaders in the society and they have friendship with Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, and
Eh,
they
eh,
go to eulogize her. Hold on now, hold
mhm,
on, Alex. They
mhm,
go to eulogize her and pay homage
mhm,
and respect to her.
mhm.
You will condemn them for doing that.
Yes,
Okay.
we will condemn them.
All right. You know,
And,
you
and we have been doing
guess
it.
what? Guess what? And
And
guess
we
yeah,
have
but
we,
that
mhm,
position,
mhm.
I'm not that position is a very loony position. It doesn't gain
But we
traction.
want to be doing. You know what?
Yeah, but guess
Truth
what now?
and
Alex, hold on now. Hold
righteousness.
on. Let me
But
come with you.
you manipulating. What I'm
I
saying
did
is like
not. You
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 can bring
just
somebody on
you
a
just
show
you was
and
making your
don't
point
let
and I
them
came in.
express themselves. You can't do
No,
that.
you've been expressing yourself. How
No,
can you? Oh, you want
you
to
ask
just
a
go on?
question. You ask a
And
question. Let me answer the question and give me a chance to land. Don't cut me
oh,
all in the
you have
middle of this.
landed. You landed with Ellen.
No,
You are
I
after
said,
that. Yeah.
but okay. There are some of us in society, and some of you guys who everything is politics. You do what is expedient in politics, and that's why our country today is where it is. But then you'll come back and you'll complain and say, "Oh,
You
the
are
system is
repeating
broken."
yourself.
I'm not
I,
part of it because what I'm doing is I'm the loony voice. I'm seeing whether you Cummings or you Ellen Johnson or you Boakai. If you do something in society, let me finish, and then you can
mhm,
have the rest of it. If you do something in society if you want to project yourself as a national leader,
mhm.
you're not above reproach. You're not above someone holding you, the people holding you accountable. That people should educate our people that it should not be indulging these kinds of people who are there supporting, what are warlords or doing bad things. That's what I'm saying. Now, what is popular, I can care less. But what I'm saying
Okay,
is,
okay, Alex,
don't
you've made
say
your point. That
people
I
doing
was
good.
I was about to make my point too. You said the same thing you just said, and I was about
Mhm.
to come. You said I cut you off. How is that cutting
No,
you
I
off?
finished now. Now you can
Okay,
make a point.
no, but you already landed
I didn't
before
have.
I even
Yeah,
started talking.
yeah.
My point, where I go, where you must say diverge here.
Mhm.
If Joseph Boga commits something for Joseph Boga, if he does something, what about omission, about commission, I will hold Joseph Boga accountable. But if Joseph Boga, you're talking about his relationship with somebody in a situation with allergic coma, that specific instance where a man who had a relationship with a man for spending 40 plus years and he goes to eulogize his friend or goes to pay respect to his friend and maybe he's asked questions and he answer all of the honesty of his heart and I will hold him responsible and then say stuff. No, Alex, that's extreme for me. That's being extreme. Okay, if Joseph Bogai is engaged in acts that are selfish, self-interest, promoting. He's not promoting any kind of self-interest over there. He's going to respect his friend. That's a difference.
Okay.
Alex Cummings issue, for instance, Alex Cummings has his he part of the CPP. Alex Cummings comes under, and everybody know Alex Cummings says say he did some there was some alterations went on with the framework documentation.
Mhm.
All right, his friend takes him to court. Okay, his people they have the right to defend him because that's their man. Okay, but also in the same vein, the rest of us who do not support him, we have the right to
Mhm.
call him out on it,
Mhm.
and we have the right to respect their right to support him, and we have the right. But then also again, what beggars the question is this: the unholy alliances that Ellis Cummings is entering into with people questionable. The single judge went into what I consider a marriage of convenience and an unholy alliance with Madame Salif that got Mary Braw and the rest of them staying in government today. Okay, despite their history. If Ellis Cummings goes into all these undertakings with Madame Salif with the two most dangerous ones, the one with Madame Salif, the one with what's his name, Musa Belity,
Mhm.
it doesn't bode well for any future if he ever becomes president of Liberia because for me he's already compromised. He's already compromised because he's friends with one of the most corrupt persons in our body politic today. A man who has no morals. All he wants to do is to gain upper hand by slight. That's his responsibility. That is his personal issue. Then all these trials told me that I cannot trust him. Now, Joseph Bogai, on the other hand, comes from the UP, and we all know that Ellen came from the UP. And the UP split up when Ellen left. There were people she took along who she had in the UP, and there were people also who stayed in the UP with Joseph Bogai. There are people in the UP who are corrupt, who have committed economics crimes in Liberia, if not even war crimes, and they are in the UP that are supporters of Joseph Bogai. Do I just break up my support for Joseph Boga because of the people that are supporting him? With Joseph Boga, how much autonomy can he exert? How much integrity can he exert? And say, no, I don't want all these people supporting me. I only want a few handful that are clean. Alex, I'll tell you something today.
Mhm.
If you went in Liberia to run a campaign, as much as I don't agree with Alex Cummings and what he's doing, everything, you find very few people that
Mhm.
will come around you that won't have dirt. On that note,
Mhm.
have you made your final because we have to leave?
Yeah.
Have you made,
Let me just, like I said, I'm not preaching righteousness here. I'm not a righteous person myself. Okay. So to say that I'm going to assume that everybody in politics should be clean, they shouldn't have no past, it's far from the truth. All I'm saying, people should be held accountable. First of all, people should hold themselves accountable. Let's go back to the two instances you laid. On the one hand, you're holding Cummings for aligning himself with somebody who is not who is immoral, and so you don't respect him as a leader, and you're right for saying that. I support you. But then when Boakai do the same thing and go around somebody like Yuri, you have an excuse for Boakai. That's what's disingenuous. If you want to hold people leaders now, if you're an ordinary person, I'm an ordinary person. I'm not running any political party. I'm not running any Liberia organization except for the movement to make Liberia, which I found help found, right? But I'm not a public figure. I can do whatever I want. But when somebody is in a position of leadership for a country, you have to hold them to the same standards everybody else. And that's what you guys fail to do.
no,
You can only see the wrong the other political leader is doing. And you like you said right now, I
Yure,
give politics.
excuse me. Let me say this to you. Yure is a political leader on his own.
Yeah, but the
Hold on
same
now.
way
Hold on. You see,
ability
then
is
you
a
say, I get you
political
chance to
leader.
talk.
All
Then
right.
you say, I get you chance to talk. You just
All right,
talk,
go ahead.
Jana. I get you chance to talk. When I can't,
All
you
right,
can't. Then
finish talking. All
you
right.
accuse me of not giving you a chance to
Because
talk.
I'm a guest on your show. You
I don't
should
know
give
how
me the
this works.
courtesy. I'm a guest.
You're not, you're a guest, but we are exchanging opinion. I didn't bring you here to come and soliloquize.
Okay.
Come on.
Go ahead.
So, so this is my point to you.
Uh,
They, they both of them. There are no, like I said, there are no moral absolutes when it comes to politics,
we agree on that.
and there's no way you can say in Liberia, I only want the clean people to come around me. Anybody who is not clean, don't come around me. Yeah, the people who will come around
But
you will not even be in the room that ain't 12 by 12.
can I ask you a question?
Go ahead, we gotta go.
They're not morally above reproach, but are there people in Liberia public life who are
Okay,
respected as moral, who have done the right thing, still stood up for the right thing? Are there people?
very few.
Yeah, but are there people?
I don't know
You don't know anybody.
because guess what?
Okay,
The
so
person may
let me
be.
give you a name.
Listen, let me tell you now. The person maybe you ask a question that
Yeah.
the problem with you, we gotta go.
But
You
you say
want us
you
to
know, so
continue?
I will give you.
Yeah, yeah. Listen, now we gotta go because we will have the discussion another time. It's past our time.
Okay.
But I will say this last before we
Uh-huh.
go.
All right.
Somebody will be standing in one place,
Mm-hmm.
but not only self-interest, but
Mm-hmm.
relationship, our Africanness, community,
Mm-hmm.
and will be compromising in another case. So it's just difficult. But
Mm-hmm.
on that note, we
Yeah.
want to say thank you to all our viewers out there. It has been an interesting show. We started with Zogo, we came all the way to leadership, and my friend Alex, unfortunately for me, Alex is he's a moral absolutist, and I'm
You
not.
see now you live where you be now.
I am not. But man, I stand. I believe in
If I
morality,
was,
but
isn't
I
that a
also
good
know
thing?
that in politics and in Liberia, especially, there are no moral absolutes. And let me tell you, Alex, the country we live in, you live in, there, I live in Canada. These people we live with, they are some of the most corrupt people you can ever find on the face of the earth.
Mm. But the
More
country is
corrupt than our
working,
people back
and
home.
there's more opportunities, so there's something doing right.
Yeah, but we'll make it work back home. Okay, so we want to say thanks for tuning in, and we gotta go because the next show have to come on.
All
All
right,
right,
guys.
I will see you guys. God bless. We'll see you on Sunday.
Thank you for inviting
Thanks,
me.
Alex, for
It
coming,
was a
and I
pleasure.
appreciate you. I
Okay, bye bye.
appreciate you highly. Thank you so much.
We all have been